Hello, welcome along to another Blether. Surprising you all with no introduction this time. Um, we're running late. We're 3 minutes late, so we thought, sod the intro. We'll just get straight on. Yes, Dave, we need an alarm clock. Um, a little internet issue just before we joined, but we're hopefully all sorted so far. Kat, how are you?
So disclaimer, feeling like crap tonight and my internet is about 10 hours behind everybody else. So yeah, good luck with me tonight, everyone.
Well, we'll manage. The guys at home are a patient bunch. Maybe not that patient. She is here. Yeah, you still here, Kat?
I don't know. Hang on, 2 seconds.
Okay. So I'll just read through some of the comments while Kat gets you might have to wake a hamster up or something, get it running in the wheel. Dave Farquharson, good evening to you. You have got the little brown dog, Glengarry, in the glass and munching on a crunchy. Love it. Let us know how that combination goes. The Glengarry is awesome. I've had that before. Really, really good, kind of fruity pineapple and loads of kind of tropical notes in there. With a crunchy, never tried that before, so let us know what the combination tastes like. Ed Friday, good evening to you. Full of the cold, but going to try Murray McDavid, Crofton, G, Marsala Barrique from the Castcraft range, I believe. See if you can detect anything. Hopefully, the whiskey helps the cold. It makes you feel a wee bit better. That's Jura. Good evening to you. Hope you're doing well. You've got the Loch Lee Harvest in your glass. Goes nice with this good weather. Yeah, fantastic. They were up to 22 degrees up in the northeast of Scotland today. So hopefully you guys managed to enjoy a wee bit of the sun. We do need an alarm clock, Dave. We've covered that one. And also we need better internet apparently over in Huntley. Brand new internet, and she's disappeared from her screen already. God, can't get the staff these days. Eh? Well, Wayne, good evening, Bob. To see you saying hello there. Hope you are well. On my glass tonight, I am thinking pink with a 15-year-old Speyside Speyburn Distillery. This is obviously a single malt society. Bottling port cask. For those who know me, know I love a good port cask. So one of our customers is a member. Saw this, thought, Mike, you're going to love this one. Do you want me to get? And he popped into the shop. So for this, and say cheers to John, and thank you very much for popping in with that one. Ed's saying his internet in Huntley is generally fine. So maybe Kat's just looking for excuses. Hopefully she can pop back on. She's maybe a way to reset her router. She has just sent me a message. Bear with me. Hopefully that means she'll be in soon. Guys, if you haven't already told us, let us know what's in your glass. Let us know what you've been up to today. It's been a stunning day up here. Hopefully you guys have been the same. So tonight our guest is our new member of staff joining us at Inverurie Whisky Shop. So Louise is going to be joining us for the shop floor and also on tastings. So we thought, why or who better to come in and tell you all about herself than the lady herself. So let's bring Louise on. Good evening.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. Very well. Did you get to enjoy the sun today?
I want to say yes, but the new series of Black Mirror was also released today, so I've been indoors all day.
You the hottest day of the year, and you're sitting
I know.
inside watching TV.
There'll be another one. There'll be another hottest day of the year. This was not it.
Yeah.
There's another one coming. I'll be outside for that one.
So what are we watching? Black Mirror?
Yeah.
And what's that?
It is like a Netflix sci-fi spooky anthology thing about how technology is evil most of the time.
I mean, we're witnessing that tonight.
Yeah. It's coming true.
I think it's a bit more scary than dodgy internet and
it's a bit scarier than Cat just disappearing, but
I don't know, that could be quite scary if you don't know where she's going to pop up next. Good evening, Felix. Felix is watching on Facebook. Dave is saying hi, Louise, and welcome. So what's in your glass, Louise? What have you got poured for yourself tonight?
Well, I have gone for... I kind of surprised myself. I didn't think I was in the mood for this, but it turns out I am. It's a 10-year-old Glenglassa rare cask release. It's the Oloroso Sherry. 10-year-old. So,
nice.
Yeah, I don't usually go for sherry things, so I was surprised that this is what came out, but
all right.
I'm excited.
Just jumped out. You've also had a couple of them before.
I was just in the mood for another Glenglassa.
Glenglass is great, isn't it? It's such a good spirit.
Yeah. I'm a Glenglass.
And you know, it's a good dram for. I haven't had the Oloroso Sherry. We've got a wine from the same series. We've got a wine cask in the shop just now, 10-year-old, and it's a really nice summer's day, kind of fruity, refreshing, kind of whiskey. So
yeah,
it's a good one for a warm day. And you've got that kind of coastal sea salt kind of feel about it as well, which it almost takes you to the beach. So you can sit inside, watch your telly, drink a Glenglassa, and you're pretty much at the beach as well.
It's basically the same as having a hot day outside. So.
Chris is having a chick 18-year-old. I almost said Ledaig there and had to slap myself. The chick 18-year-old, obviously the peated Tobermory dram there. And Tim Powell's is also saying hello. Dave Muir, good evening to you. Great to have you on. Thanks for joining us. My God, Cat looks different tonight. Yeah, Cat is not with us yet. She will hopefully be jumping on in a minute or two. Internet issues, Dave. You know, you've seen us before. You know what we can sometimes end up being. So, Louise, tell us a little bit about yourself. Something that nobody at home will know about you. I'm joking. You don't have to.
I've only done one shift in the shop, and you're already asking for my deepest, darkest secrets. I don't think that's fair.
We'll get there. Give us 20 minutes, 25 minutes. We'll get there.
Yeah, I'm Louise. I am very excited to start again, come back to the Inverurie Whisky Shop, and hopefully be there for a very long time, or a long enough time, whenever. It's up to you when that's going to end. Hi, I'm a philosophy student as well, so I do a philosophy PhD. So I don't only want to know what you're drinking, I want to know why you're drinking it. Which is, I ask a lot of annoying questions, but I get a lot of interesting answers.
Awesome. Talking of interesting, here we go. Kat, are you back?
I hope so. I don't know. Is it better?
A lot quicker. Yeah.
Yay! Yeah, I went out and scooped up some more internets. However it works. I don't know.
Do you know you what you've actually done is put up your hair and the internet's working?
It was blocking the internet. It went up in sheer frustration, storming about the house.
All those waves can now get passed and into your computer, and that's what has sped you up.
I can't believe I've never made that connection before.
We've got Dave Lawson, his comment on YouTube today. Louisa, do you know David Lawson? He's saying that he can confirm that you ask a lot of annoying questions.
Oh, David. You know, I sent the link out to my friends and I didn't think they were going to watch it. So I think I'm happy he's here.
But
We'll get all the secrets.
We will. Who else is watching? I've got a couple of questions coming up, or people coming in. Whisky Dave is also looking forward to watching Black Mirror. So no spoilers, please, for Whisky Dave. Dave Muir. We've got a lot of Daves. We've got David, we've got Dave Muir and Whisky Dave all on at the moment. The Robot Dogs episode was freaky.
Agree.
Robot Dog. So, no, I don't know. I'm not going to jump in. I'm normally quite good with Netflix and stuff, but not this one. Dave Muir is saying, hopefully Mike has warned you about me, Louise. I haven't yet. I will. But there will be some things that has to be said about Dave Muir that we can't see live in recorded television. So we will fill you in on Dave Muir later on. Good evening, Jeremy. You stumbled in a wee bit late. Not at all. You were earlier than Kat, so all good. And Colin Houston from the Aurora Spirit. Good evening, Colin. Great to have you on. So the Aurora Spirit, the guys behind Bifrost. They're coming to, is it May? Yeah, end of May. These guys are coming in. I think they're coming to see you at Glengarry, Cat, and then we'll have them in the shop. So excellent. Yeah, looking forward to having you guys over and seeing you, catching up. Will be fantastic. Haven't seen you since, I think, Rassie. We met. Oh no, we met in the Speyside Cooperage car park. Doing dodgy dealings of stock transfer in person.
And the
so
Blether,
they
but just not in person.
and the bit, yeah, not in person. Louise, Dave is asking what your whiskey background is.
Oh, that's a fun question. So I started in the Scotch Whisky Experience down in Edinburgh. No, that was, well, nearly 10 years ago now. No prior knowledge of whiskey to that. I actually remember my interview. Like I'd had the whole interview part and we'd done like a presentation. And then the interviewer said, we'll put you on a tour so you can see what it's all about. And then like we'll catch up at the end. So we did the whole tour and you got a whiskey with the tour. And I remember thinking, you really want this job, you're just going to have to drink it. You're just going to have to enjoy it. And it was a little Auchentoshan. Oh, I can't even remember now. One of the Auchentoshans. And I tried to throw it back in one and then really try to be brave. And it was difficult. And then at the end of the tour, I was waiting for the interviewer. I was sat at the bar and staff that were there were like, oh, you're here for an interview, aren't you? Have you tried whiskey before? Like, are you into it? I was like, no, just had my first ever one. So they gave me like 3 more. And I was like, well, they've not asked me to pay for them. So I'm just going to have to drink them and enjoy it because I really want the job. And then got the job. That was fun. So I did a couple of years there doing all different kinds of tours and all different levels of tasting and just really got into it. I loved how many stories there were. Like, it's just so, there's so much interesting stuff everywhere. After that, I moved to Glasgow to do my master's. So I took a job at the Clydeside Distillery, which was very, very fun. After that, I then moved to Aberdeen and I got a job at Cask Bar and I started working in Cask Shop. So doing all the whiskies and craft beers and cigars and stuff there. And now I'm at Inverurie. So, yeah. Oh, I totally forgot about Dornoch. I also went up to Dornoch for a while. There's so many different like whiskey places that I'm just sort of ended up in. Yeah, so I also went up in Dornoch and worked at the Dornoch Castle Whiskey Bar there for a bit as well. So
you've almost completed the 4 corners of Scotland, haven't you?
That's what I'm working on. I think I need to go to like one of the like Western Isles and just like cover all my bases, and then we'll look at like the borders and all that sort of stuff as well. So.
Yeah. Were you at was it the Whiskey Cellars you were at in Dornoch, or was it the distillery?
No, it was the Castle Bar.
The Castle Hotel.
Yeah, the Castle Hotel Bar. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Beautiful place. Have you looked into the Struy distillery?
Not as much yet, but that is so fun. The fact that they've got going to have 2 distilleries in a fairly small place is very, very exciting. And I love that it's all like linked together as well. So it's like that distillery plus the original Dornoch distillery plus the Castle Bar plus the hotel. Like having a whole brand is quite fun. So good for them.
It's a proper little whiskey town, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or it will be.
Yeah.
That's
Which is
great.
weird because they've got an incredible bookshop as well. Like their bookshop is amazing, but it doesn't have like a food or drink section really. It's got like a couple of cookbooks and not like a whiskey bit, which I thought was a bit weird.
I was there my birthday week in September and picked up a book called The Last Witch in Scotland.
Yes.
I've got
that. And I opened it and it was a signed copy. It was the last signed copy they had in the shelf.
Oh,
So
amazing.
yeah, nice surprise. So I just had to buy it.
Yeah.
So that was my bookshop experience. But yeah, Tony picked up a couple of books and Killian got a couple of books. So yeah, it's a brilliant bookshop.
Aye.
I'll need to go up for a proper look. I was listening to it's Phil and Simon, isn't it, talking on Mitch's Not Another Whiskey podcast the other day. Without sounding like a complete nana, they just sound like really nice boys. Like, what lovely boy. He's sensible. And like, I just really enjoy listening. Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
They seem to have
Jeremy's
quite good
saying, sorry, Jeremy's on Facebook. He's saying that Louise was offering location competition for you, Kat.
No, I see that. We're going to have to sit down with a map and plan out where we've lived between us. I was there. That'll be a
You're going to have
conversation.
to do something to beat Kat, Louise, because every guest we have on, somebody mentions somewhere in Scotland, and Kat, I used to live there without fail.
Pretty much, yes. I am a little bit of a, I don't know, traveling whore. Not really. That came out wrong.
I didn't know this lore about you, Kat.
And that I've lived everywhere. Yeah, I mean, like, it sounds like I've lived everywhere, but like, it's only a couple of places. Like, Scotland's quite a small place, so chances are, like, you know, if you're up north, you've lived kind of near, you know, somewhere that I've never lived in Dornoch, so like that's something at least. Like, you know, you've got me in there. I've never lived in Edinburgh either, so between us, we've probably covered the whole of Scotland. That's quite cool.
I've lived in Inverurie, and that's it. I've never lived anywhere else.
I mean, you're so well known in Inverurie that literally every time the news people turn up to it, like they're just like, we'll just get Mike and we've got him a retainer. Like, you're never off the bloody TV.
All I did was moan about the car park.
It is ridiculous, that car park. Yeah.
We're not going to bring that into a whiskey blether. But
No, it's so boring.
no. I mean, I was annoyed with what they cut out. They cut out the bit when I was complaining that we have 3 full-time members of staff who drive into Inverurie and can't park unless they pay £6 a day. But there we go. Moving back on to whiskey. Kat, are you having a dram tonight?
No, I'm sticking to herbal tea tonight. Just not very well just now, so I'll be fine by tomorrow, but not chancing a dram tonight in case I die in my sleep.
We have Ed Friday at home, full of the cold, and he is having a dram to make himself feel better. So, you know, it's not really an excuse.
Well, now that you've just told me this, though, I bumped into Ed and I met him for the first time last week in Huntley's local whiskey shop. So maybe you give me your cold, you just infect me with your diseases, Ed. First time meeting you, and you just spread your germs. I think there's a lot of stuff going around just now. Yeah, or maybe I'm just burning the candle at both ends because I've probably stayed out a little bit too late last weekend and then went straight to work. So maybe it's just self-induced. I don't know, or a bit of the both.
I would blame Louise for that one.
100% we're blaming Louise for that one. She nearly started a stushy in the grill bar, smashing glasses all around the place.
I did not. I did not.
No, you didn't. It was me that smashed the glass. I can't believe that thing actually smashed. Like, because I mean,
It went far as well. That was an impressive smash.
I know, it's like I just picked up and lobbed it. All I did was put my finger in it by accident, tell him an awesome King Charles story. Ruined the story at the end.
We've got Ewan Christie online. He's put a wee comment in saying the Fearing Hot Toddy is sorting him out tonight. Now available from Inverurie's Premier Shop.
Nice plug there. Well done. Who is this
Absolutely.
you saying? What does he want?
Does he mean like premier shop, as in like the best, or one of those like premier corner
Like a wee
shops?
cost
Like
cutter
a
type.
wee co-op
Right.
kind of thing. I hope not. But yeah, the feeling doing well for us. It's a nice wee drop. Obviously, well, for those who don't know about the feeling, the inaugural release from, there we go, there's the bottle there, the Cabrec distillery, of which Ewan is the head distillery manager or head distiller. I'm not sure exactly what his title is.
I think his title is the distiller.
The distiller,
He's
the
the
one and
only
only. Yeah,
Well, that might change.
you don't need fancy titles, do you? Just the distiller.
Man distills.
But yeah, so the feeling is a blended malt, primarily made up of Speyside, a little bit of peat in there, and is early harvest. So it's the first of 3 releases coming out from the Cabrec distillery while they wait for their own spirit to come of age. So I'm looking forward to the second one coming out. I think it's blended and ready. I think they're just waiting for the right time to get it into bottles. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure last time I spoke to the guys, they were pretty keen that it was out soon. But
And if it also matters to anybody, me and Mike had very nice chats about the bottle shapes the other
we
day.
did.
So it's like a square, but it's not quite a square, if that matters.
I forgot that you were into the shapes of bottles because we had a discussion about nice shapes and angry looking shapes.
It's always been a thing every time I've been out, because I used to be really bad for, like, if a bottle's ugly, I'm not going to choose it. Like, if it doesn't look good, I'm not going to try and drink it. It's very much judging books by their covers. So for a while we used to choose like ugly labels and then ugly bottle shapes, like drams we usually wouldn't choose, and then force ourselves to try them. And we were usually quite nicely surprised. So
What's the ugliest bottle out there at the moment?
it depends. Do you mean bottle shape or bottle label?
Shape. Let's go shape first.
Oh, I don't like a short round one. If it's small, I don't love a tiny bottle. I want them all to be quite tall. I'd rather they were. But then Glenmorangie's too tall.
Or
so
the
there's like
it's mental tall.
like a wee Gordon MacPhail. I feel like this is a nice bottle shape.
Yeah, that is a nice bottle shape.
Yeah.
I don't like busy labels. I don't like labels I've got just too much shit on. It's like a eye test. Yeah. Not keen on that. I like all the you know what I like is all of the blends and stuff, like the old retro blends. I like those labels, but I think some of that's coming back. Like just old style font, like an old teacher.
I like things like this. I like Woody's labels. They're nice and simple. They've got everything on it. Quite classic. And do you know why people put whiskey into dumpy bottles, like small bottles?
Is it so that they take up they have to go to the front of the shelf, isn't it? Somebody was talking about this the other day.
You won't see a small bottle at the back, so the bars will put them in front like that. So they'll be at the front of the shelf.
That feels like cheating.
Market.
It was Marcos was telling us that, wasn't it? The North Star. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's clever.
They've got. I think it's not quite as rounded as the turntable one. There, I don't have one here.
Oh wait, I've got one. Excuse me while I head down to the basement.
Jeremy's saying Sam loves the Bifrost labels and artwork. I do as well. This is their Midgard one. The detail in the label is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's very pretty.
Pretty cool. And it's all the way around. And the whiskey's not bad either. I'll say that because Colin's watching.
It looks absolutely beautiful. If they're coming up to visit us, does that mean we get to go over to visit them? Because, last time they were on, they were talking about Northern Lights and business meetings and jacuzzis and
I think we did get an invite. Yeah.
We did, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to pay for us to go over. I think we have to organise that ourselves. But yeah,
People are ridiculous, so demanding.
so tight. Talking about, so guys at home, here's a question for you. What's your favourite labels? What's your favourite bottles? And do you get put off buying a whiskey because of a less than attractive style or shape of bottle? That'd be interesting to know what you guys at home think.
I didn't mean to immediately come in on this like introductory blether and be like, I think some bottles are ugly.
No. It's all about honesty, Louise.
It's maybe not the nicest way to have started. I am actually quite a cool person.
Yeah. Well, we know this for sure anyway. I didn't know that you'd had such a varied whiskey career before we kind of met. I think we officially first met when you guys came to do a tour of Glengarry. And you're both geeking out. I was like, I really like these people. Look how geeky they are.
Yeah, that must have been, I think I was in Aberdeen at that point, so I'd already done everything else. I'd only been at Cask up till then. Yeah, but it was more, I think it was almost more fun because it was just the two of us on a tour, so we could be that dorky. we were in Dublin a couple of weeks ago, and we went to the Liberties distillery over there. And we had I think there was like 8 or 10 people on the tour as well, so we sort of like sat back a wee bit and waited till the very end to be like, so what kind of barley do you use? What's all these? Like, what temperatures is this? Oh, whereas when it was just us, we were.
I know, I was keeping up with you guys until Ewan started asking about like gravity. I was like, right, yeah, no, I'm tapping out. I'm gonna hand you over to one of the production guys there.
I mean, there is this kind of the when you go to a distillery as a visitor, and obviously if you work in the industry, you probably know, and you've been to heaps of tours, and you probably know enough to kind of breeze through the tour without really listening. You can kind of, if you want to really get the individual facts and figures and numbers, and that's great. But there's always like that bank of questions that you have that you want. You know, you almost want the tour guide to know that you're in the industry without being a dick about it. And it's that, what kind of barley do you use, and you know, and what's your yeast strain, and these kind of things. So things that they probably should know, but you want them to say, oh well, they know something, they know what they're talking about. Maybe
I think that's something that's really fun about being a tour guide though as well in these sorts of places, because like you kind of have to learn everything because you have to be ready for what sort of whiskey dork is going to walk through the door. Like, is it going to be somebody who asks about the barley and the yeast and whatever, or is it going to be the person that's asking about like the cat's names and the ghost stories? So you get to sort of learn all the sides of it, which is really fun. So.
Yeah, definitely. That's why, and this sounds like my total bugbear, that's why you should never think that a tour with the manager is going to be better than with the tour guide, because they have to know everything, and they have to know why the button's pressed and where it goes and what that bloody bracket does. And people ask the most strange questions. What are those wires in the wall for? Like, lights? I don't know. Why does it matter to your overall experience? I don't know what they're for. But
was it Tony that got asked how many fire extinguishers were on site?
She did. I mean, I still don't know what that guy did with that information, but we went and counted them afterwards because we're like, no, how many is it? So I know it was a good
many are there?
Somebody else might ask that question, so you need to know.
Yeah, that's true. It's when people say, oh, it's a stupid question, then you say, oh, there's no such thing as a stupid question. And then you're like, huh, well.
Hold my beer.
Yeah. It is nice when people ask questions, though. I love it.
What torque settings are the bolts tightened to, Kat?
Oh, for God's sake, Jeremy. I have no idea. 5.
We have 5. We've got Dutch Duran asking, or saying he thinks Arnaho have got their bottling spot on for a
and their label.
Absolutely, I can't agree with you more. I think they've got one of the best logos. If you can see that logo, beautiful design, very similar to what was it you called it? Inverury's Premier
image.
shop.
Was it just like a free logo on clip art that you and Ardnahoe both just downloaded?
Yeah. I paid somebody a lot of money to come up with that design.
See if Ardnahoe paid that person, the same amount of money for a design. It's very good.
It is. But yeah, I do like the logo. I think it's the label as well. Not too dissimilar to the Gordon MacPhail bottle that you picked up. Maybe just the bottom is a little bit different, but it's got a good weight to it. It's tall, it's clean, and yeah, I think you're right. Who was it? It was Whisky Jura, Dutch Jura, wasn't it? And he said, that was a nice bottle. Kyle Taylor's on. Cheers all, no drams tonight, but super jealous of that Ardnahoe. Not sniffed any of it in the US yet. Is it in the US? I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
We haven't had anybody from Ardnahoe on. We'll have to do that. Get somebody.
Absolutely.
Gonna let myself know about that.
I
was thinking about bottles as well. I just saw you holding that bottle up. You know what you need? It has to be like thin at the bottom so you can get your hand around it. Because I've got like tiny little wee baby hands. See, like with a chunky bottle, like trying to like lift it up and put it out. Definitely need a thin bottle at the bottom.
Yeah, you can hold the top of it. That's always narrow.
Yeah, but then it's like shaky and.
Yeah, you can't pour it out by holding the neck. If I design a whiskey bottle, it'll be skinny at the bottom with a nice kind of 1970s label.
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying it's always narrow at the top. My own bottle doesn't have a very narrow neck at all. So yeah, I'll give you that. One. Who else? Whiskey Dave from the Sky Distillers is saying the Rassi bottle is stunning.
It's beautiful.
It is. That's one I don't have here. But if you haven't seen it, quite nice and flat and square. And it's got the faucet. So I think the designer was over on Rassi to kind of get a feel for the place for his design, and had his son with him. Then they were walking on the beach, and his son came up with a fossil that he'd found on the beach and showed it to his dad, and that's why that is on the bottle. So I think it's a molding of things that are found on the Rassi beach, which is it's pretty cool. Awesome.
Can you imagine if they did that in Aberdeen? It'd be like an old flip flop and like a half a bag of chips. It wouldn't just have the same romance as the Rassi one, to be honest with it.
You have like a seagull skull decanter.
That would be amazing. Well, I think Dave's just said that his infinity bottle is a skull head bottle. I mean, that's badass.
It's the Crystal Head vodka.
Yeah.
So he's using that for. I've seen a few people upcycling that, because when you buy it in this vodka, it's obviously clear. But if you put something else in there, rum or whiskey or I don't know, lava lamp stuff, it's pretty cool. It looks the biz.
Yeah, no, that is pretty cool, to be honest. I've never tried doing an infinity bottle. Like, is it? So, what's the process? Do you just throw the dregs in and hope for the best? Or are you actually trying to create something in there?
Both, I think. Depending on how geeky you are. I'm not sure if Dave does this. A lot of people will keep a record of what they put into it and how much they put into it. And keep a record and do notes on how it changes. Other people will just, and it's a good way of but keeping the whiskey, because if you get a whiskey that goes down to, say, that in a bottle, you're going to get more oxidation over time. So it's just to rescue the whiskey. I mean, you could just pour it in a glass and drink it, couldn't you? But you put it into an infinity bottle and geek out later on what notes it's going to create. And it means you've always got a bottle there to top up. If you can't decide what you're going to drink, you just grab your infinity and.
Yeah, no, it is a good idea. I definitely see value in it. I don't think I ever get my bottles low enough to actually have anything to actually try it. But because I think, did you not have some in the shop, Mike? You did like a sherry one. You and Russell used to do it quite a bit, didn't you? You had a sherry one and a peat
Yeah,
one.
we had three. We had a sherry one, we had a peated one, and we had a combination, one of all whiskies. So yeah, still in the shop. So it's only, I think we only charged £3 a nip for it, and there's some pretty banging whiskies in there. We initially started off with a record of it, of what we had. We didn't do the measurements or anything, but we had a record. It's somewhere, but then we had a big clear out, and I've no idea where the recipe is, so it's never going to be repeated.
I really want to try an infinity bottle properly. The last time we tried to do one, we got too impatient, so we ended up like half filling it with something and then like chucking in anything we could. Like I feel like it's meant to be grown more over time rather than like a week.
I thought you were going to say you got too impatient with it and just drank it. You made a bottle and then just thought, this is really good. It's just skull.
I don't actually know where it is, because in theory we should still have it somewhere, but I don't know where. I don't know if Ewan's got it. We might have just lost a bottle of whiskey.
Well, it could be worse. Whiskey
It was
Dave
like
did one in the
50%
Seamus bar. Whiskey Dave did one in the Seamus bar, he's saying, with really old rams, and somebody chucked it.
Oh, no.
Who throws out a bottle of whiskey with anything in it?
Well, yeah, like, just like, what, tip it down the sink or what? Did you not lose some new make at the shop because somebody thought it was like a bottle of water or something?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a shame.
I mean, surely you would smell it.
Oh, yes, it's going down the sink, I suppose. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny, strong smelling water.
That water's been there a while. Jeez, oh.
Yeah, I was less than impressed when I discovered the empty bottle. It wasn't labelled. It was just put into a clear glass bottle with no label. So, yeah, my bad.
I remember when I first started at the distillery, we used to do like we used to pass around a glass of new make so people could nose it and try it, and we just kind of stopped doing it because people were just not very good at listening and not being very sensible. But I remember a member of staff had first started and they'd seen this clear liquid and poured it into the water jugs with pipettes to put out on the table. I was like, oh no, so let's go and fix that.
Did it get to the customer?
Yeah, no matter how much water you keep putting in your whiskey, it's just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Kind of counterproductive.
Be interesting though.
Yeah,
if you're doing it as an experiment rather than a mistake, it'd be interesting to see what would happen to the whiskey if you put new mix into it.
Yeah, I've never tried doing that, to be honest. Probably won't, but yeah, it would be interesting. Some people are like, really love trying new make spirit, and some people are just so anti new make spirit. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's a bit overwhelming, isn't it? Because it's like such a high ABV, so it's like kind of hard to kind of pick anything out in it, I think, sometimes.
Yeah. We have them in atomizers at the shop. So if people do want to, rather than tasting it, you can spray it. Then you get the kind of idea without the, the hit, I suppose.
You're meant to like put it on your
new make cocktail.
And a new make cocktail.
Yeah.
What sort of stuff would you put in a new make cocktail?
So there's 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. New make and apple juice. Well, depends on the sort of new make, I suppose. Depends on where you're getting it from. But the ones that I've tried, new make and apple juice is delicious. New make like apple juice lemonades or like ginger ale sometimes. Very tasty. New make apple juice as a single shot in Prosecco. Tasty. Surprisingly.
Wow.
Yeah. What's the other one? Oh, it's gone from my head. Oh, you can do like a new make. Oh, you might have to help me out here. It was weird. It was like raspberry jam and like lemon juice.
Okay.
It sounds disgusting, but it was actually really tasty. Like it was just really, really sweet. And bright pink, which was a delight. So
that's pretty cool. I think, did Holyrood not do like new make and hot chocolate? I think Russell got
the when they took out the 4 new make expressions, and there was different yeasts, and one of them was the chocolate malt that they used, and I think it was the rep had said, "I'll try it in hot chocolate. It's really fine." So we did, and it was really fine. It was pretty cool. But we also had at Tomatin, we did a new make. Well, they had it new make Royale, and there was honey, rosemary. There's berries in it. Was it blueberries or blackberries or something? And herbs or something. It was a hark back to what they would have drunk it 200 years ago before cask maturation, when the whiskey was too strong. They were saying this is how people would have drunk it. They would have crushed herbs and fruits and that and honey to sweeten it and make it more palatable. And it was really tasty. And then they gave us a new make with milk.
I wasn't so keen on that.
I thought that was so good, so dangerous. The first taste was weird, but I as a teenager, I used to drink Morgans and milk, so it took me back to those days, and it was really fine.
Wow, I never would have thought putting alcohol. Saying that though, we used to do like a sort of boozy cocktail. It was one of our experiences. But Morgans and milk. Well, you go into a bar and ask for like a glass of milk, a shot of Morgans.
Yeah.
Like, you've got your ID. I just want a glass of milk, please.
Yeah, there was a few. Mostly like if it was a bar, like a bistro, would add a coffee shop or something. You know, your nightclubs didn't tend to have it.
That's quite cool.
No, it's tasty. Try it.
I know, I'm a bit weird. I don't like milk by itself. I can only put milk in like cereal, and I'm not putting a shot of Cleric in cereal.
So Whiskey Dave is saying his most geeky German customer adds spirit to older drams to counter the evaporation of ABV in the bottle.
Okay.
Does that work?
So, okay. I'm not sure what I feel about that.
I think you can be changing the whiskey quite a lot the more often you do that, to be honest. But yeah, it's kind of thrifty, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that needs like a lab experiment to see what's going on.
Yeah, we'll just buy in or borrow like a lot of new make from different distilleries and make cocktails and see what we can do with it. I
like the term borrow. We're just going to borrow some new make.
Yeah, we'll give it back when it's finished. Louise, you mentioned that you are studying philosophy.
Yes.
And you had a recent post up saying how you're looking forward to combining the two. That sounds really exciting.
I hope so. There's a project I've wanted to do for years, since Clydeside, which was 2019 now. Because there's a lot of like perception philosophy that's going on just now. So there's a lot of like, how do you know what it is that you are experiencing, essentially? So like, when people say that they like smell a certain smell or they taste a certain taste, how do they know that that's what it is? Like, how do you recognize that? And in my soul, I'm a philosopher of language. So I really like how words can like influence and do things without actually doing anything. So something I find really interesting is that a lot of the times when you're doing like tour guidey stuff, or sometimes when you're doing tasting, you'll hear the word subjective a lot. So a lot of people will try and say like, your senses are subjective. So whatever you smell or taste is completely correct. Like whatever's going on for you, wonderful, great. And that makes sense. But then there's also this whole other side of the whole whiskey world where distilleries are built and planned in a specific way to get a specific flavor or a specific taste. And those decisions start like from the very beginning and follow all the way through, like from what kind of barley that they're using or what sort of like shape that their stills are or how long they're leaving their cask. Like everything is planned as far as it possibly can be to get a certain taste. So then what happens between putting it in a bottle and going to a tasting where that suddenly becomes really subjective? That just seems really weird to me, and I want to philosophize.
It's really interesting because it's something we speak about nearly every single week, and we were speaking about it last week as well, about taste notes, because there are key things in there, like different esters, whatever else there are just in there, and they do smell like certain things. But yeah, like in a tasting, people could just mention something that you've never picked up before, but usually it says, it reminds me of. And so like I was speaking to somebody the other day, it's like, oh, it reminds me of my grandfather used to take honey straight out of the hive. I don't have that memory. And it's a lovely memory. So she could just smell honey. So yeah, it is really interesting. Do you have a theory about where the sort of crossover, the kind of divergence is?
I really don't, but I want to do a couple of experiments with it and see if I can figure it out. And again, I've only done one shift, so I maybe shouldn't be saying it this early because maybe nobody will trust me after this. But I feel like an interesting way to do it would be to have 3 different tastings with the same groups of people. If you have one where you follow like the tasting notes that the distilleries have sort of like set out and said, so like the ones that are on the bottle, you say exactly what they say and see how many people agree with you. We could do another one where you follow the same general idea of what they've said, but you don't use any of the words that they've used, and see if that matches. And then we could do a third one where we say the wrong thing and see if anybody agrees. Because I think there's an element of like power as well. Like if you're a tour guide or like leading a tasting, people are inclined to trust you, as they should. We're well trained. We're very good at what we do. Yeah, I don't know, if we can knock out that, then we'd maybe get a bit of a clearer idea about where it all comes from.
That'd be good fun. Would you have to do it with you'd have to do it with different people though, wouldn't you? You couldn't do it with the same.
I've got about 4 plans of ways that I could do this.
We had can't remember her last name, Katie from the Five Farms in Braemar, Fenema, and she's a whiskey educator and ambassador, and she does courses. She does something similar where she gives people whiskey tasting, and they write down their tasting notes, and then later on in the course, a couple of hours later, she gives them some whiskey to taste and write notes on, but there's music playing in the background, and she sees how that influences, and then it turns out it's the same whiskey, but she wants to see how the music playing and just that course of over the couple of hours, how that changes the drinker's perception on what they're tasting, which is quite, I don't know if that's subjective or, changing the mood of the room would change the flavour.
That's the thing, there's a lot of like variables, which I think would make the whole experiment quite difficult. Because you would either need to have like different groups of people, as in like complete, like people who've never had whiskey before, people who maybe work in like whiskey tourism, and then people who work in like whiskey production, because there's differences there as well, I think. So you need to have like different sets of people. I feel like you couldn't give somebody the same dram at like midday and then set them off for the day and then give them the same one at 4 o'clock, because whatever's happened in those 4 hours is going to also change maybe the way it tastes or the way it feels. Yeah, it would take a lot of planning to make sure it's definitely like a good experiment, but fun.
Because I guess any experiment where opinions are there can be twisted or can be very difficult to get continuity. Yeah, because you'll get people who are drinking, I don't like peated whiskey, or I don't like sherry whiskey, or I don't like cask strength whiskey, and that will ultimately affect what they say that they can taste if they don't like it, if it's a nasty taste to them. and they'll be swayed by that rather than being very focused on the individual flavors that are in that whiskey. Maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Whenever we're doing tastings at the end of the tour, a lot of people think they can taste peat in the whiskey. We're not a peated whiskey, and it happens like weekly. We've always wondered what it is, but I think sometimes it's just oak. They're just more susceptible to picking up the oak, and I think some people are more susceptible to different flavors in the spirit. But yeah, it's such a cool thing to delve into, to be honest. Like because there's no end to that, really. You could have a lot of fun with that, to be honest.
There's quite a lot of like philosophy work done into wine, so there are people like asking these questions elsewhere. But I think taking a distilled spirit and asking the same questions that they're asking about wine would be quite interesting.
A lot of it's to do with actually the place as well. I know Dave Bloom talks about terroir quite a lot, and I know people are quite anti-terroir, but I get it because, once you've walked around a distillery, you always like the whiskey better. I've been working over at Ardmore for the last couple of days, and they've got wooden washbacks. Now, I think if you could pick a bottle of whiskey off a shelf that you've never had before and try it, you wouldn't be like, oh, these guys definitely use wooden washbacks. But walking into a distillery that has them, they smell so amazing. You're like, this has to make a difference. It just has to. A bit like, a lot of that is just psychological, isn't it? Like, could you really pick out a whiskey that's had wooden wash? Probably not. I don't think I've ever been to a tasting where somebody's picked that out. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. For me, the idea of sense of place is more where you're drinking the whiskey rather than where the whiskey was made.
Oh, Mike, your camera's gone off again. Your ghost has unplugged your camera again.
I know. I don't know why. It just decides to turn itself off. I am still here.
But yeah, no,
but yeah,
get me for like drinking it with friends and stuff. You mean like that moment in time?
Yeah, and I think how many people watching at home would say that their favorite whiskey drinking experience was taking a whiskey straight from a cask and drinking it in the warehouse. Yeah, it's an amazing experience, and you really kind of buy into that whole mantra of it. But how much of it, if you took that same whiskey and took it home and let it settle and warm up to room temperature and had a drink of it, chances are it would be a completely different brand. It would be quite hot and spicy and intense. Whereas that cool conditions in a warehouse can help. And when we do we're sampling a bottle for a shop exclusive or for a Foghouse release, taking it from the warehouse and trying it won't get the job done. You need to bottle it, take it home, leave it for a few days to come to temperature and try it as the guys at home would be drinking it, because that's ultimately what you want. And you have to kind of take away that whole romantic notion of, that straight from the cask feel where you pour it. Brilliant experience. But yeah, I've been a lot of warehouse tastings and hosted tours in them, and I don't think I've ever had anyone saying, you know what, I don't like that whiskey, it's not for me. Because people just fall in love with that, where they are and what's going on and what's happening around them. They're just so in love with the experience.
Yeah, no, it is pretty cool, to be honest. But then, yeah, that's all part of psychology as well, isn't it? Of just enjoying the moment and thinking it's the best thing ever. A friend of mine hated peated whiskey. She still does. And she was, was a colleague, but a friend. And she'd gone out to Isla for, I think it was Bamore that she was at. No, it was maybe one of ours anyway. And she tried a dram sitting out looking over the sea and thought, actually, no, it must have been Bamore. There's no way she could have done Lafroig. So she bought a bottle of Bamore and she was like, actually, I totally get it. It's not that bad. And got home with it back onto the mainland and tried it again. She's like, oh my God. I hate this stuff. So yeah, sometimes the place makes a difference when you're.
That's exactly it. Did you not have that similar experience at Tomatin with the Kubokan?
Yes. It was your wife. She's like, I don't like rum casks, or I don't like them yet. I haven't found one that I like. And then Tony's at the very end. bearing in mind it being a long day of drinking, and everything was just wonderful by then. Tony's like, try this one. Honestly, this is not as, this is not a strong kind of rum flavor. It's not too sweet. I was like, oh my God, yeah, totally get it. This is awesome. Got it home, tried it again sober. I was like, no, don't like this.
But Tony was driving that day as well, so she wasn't drinking them. She was just smelling them.
Oh, that's true, actually. Was she working for Tomat like on a bit of commission?
Just hoping that somebody would buy something to make them feel better about themselves. I think we went away with a few bottles, actually.
I always love that. Though. Really good.
Talking of cask experiences, Whisky Dave is on, and he's saying he had his first cask experience at Torrevig the other day. Of course, he told us last week, I think, that they're getting a single cask for the shop exclusive, which is pretty exciting because I didn't think Torrevig were going to be doing that kind of thing. But if you've managed to get your hands on a cask, I think he said earlier in the chat, I didn't get the chance to speak about it, that they've picked the cask now. So they've got that, and that's going to be in soon. Dave, tell us if you're online, if you've got an online shop, or if we have to come over to the shop to buy that, because I would be very interested in that. We've got Stuart Dick at the shop on the 25th of this month doing a tasting, which is the launch day of Torrevig's Legacy Sound of Sleet, which is their next expression in the lineup for their Legacy series. So they had the 2017, the Altglown Knochlemoyne, totally murdering. What I really like about this one is that it's in English and it's called Sound of Sleet, which is so much easier to pronounce than any of the other ones. So that's being launched on the 25th. So we've got that as a little exclusive. So if you haven't bought a ticket, we don't often do plugs, but there's one. But I'm going to tie it in with a plug for Dave, who's gone with a PX, but that's top secret. Dave, you're on the Blether. Everyone watches the Blether. It's not a secret anymore.
We're all heading over to get a bottle of this.
Sky's tourism won't cope with the amount of people who are watching tonight that are going to head over.
It's going to be a mob. Torrevig in a Pedro Jimenez cask.
Yes.
I'm going to have to try this because, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I like it. So, I'm not a fan of a Pedro Jimenez cask because it's just too sweet. However, I love the Williamson one that Woody and Megan did because it's like that kind of smoky, sweet kind of vibe, which is really, really nice. So, yeah, I wonder if it's like a similar kind of vibe.
Yeah. So the Knochlemoyne or Crochlemoyne, I think it is, because they pronounce it with a different dialect, because we've got Anik over here and they've got Knock, which is the same but without the first A. It's NCNOC, but they pronounce it Croch, I think.
Okay.
But that is, I think it's 1% Pedro Jimenez cask and the rest is bourbon cask.
Oh, okay.
Because
it's like a pink label on it, hasn't it? That one.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Torrevig. I think they've got an excellent spirit there. It's well done. And looking at Louise was talking about the bottles. I think they've got a really nice feel about it. It feels like they've been around for a long time. Whenever we're talking about new distilleries, I always forget about them. I think I've said this in the Blether before because it feels like they've been around forever, and they've got that kind of history of the farm where it was in the castle and all that. It's such a good story. But Dave, it'd be interesting to know if you've tried it in isolation. Not, did you go to the cask place, the warehouse, and extract and choose there, or did you get samples away with you? It'd be interesting to know what your process for choosing that cask was. So, Louise, apart from the bottle label and design, what do you look for when you're picking a whiskey? What do you veer towards?
I will try anything. I do think my favourites tend to be like peated Highland whiskies. I'm not massively towards like Isla smoke, but Highland smoke I quite like. Yeah. Ben Nevis 10 has always been like top of my list. People have always been sick of me hearing about Ben Nevis 10. I love it. I love the Glenglass of Torfa. I've not had it for ages. I've not seen it for ages. That was my favourite for a while. Linkwoods, Mortlax, love them.
So quite a mix.
Yeah, I find it hard to say like if there's one definite one that I like or if there's one definite kind. But then the philosopher in me starts talking about like, did you actually like this Linkwood or was it just the right place at the right time? I don't know. I think there's something good to say about everyone. So
There is.
which makes it really difficult.
Yeah, it is. It's, you know, someone somewhere along that whiskey's journey has decided that's good enough to go in a bottle. And I think it's important when we don't like a whiskey, we still have to kind of respect that it's probably still a good whiskey. It's just not our taste. But yeah, it'd be interesting. You know, you've got your philosopher's hat on, and somebody gave you a Linkwood and told you it was Linkwood. Are you already saying I'm going to enjoy this? And you know, you taste it. You're enjoying it before you taste it.
Yeah, that's another one that I want to work with and see what happens.
Yeah. It's like, go on.
I was just going to say about we had a wee chat about the Glentalkers last week with Paul. We had a bigger talk about it initially when he came on as a guest a couple of years ago. I just can't see Glentalkers and Fetter Cairn are two whiskies that I just can't seem to agree with. And I don't know whether it's because if I'm going to drink it, or I'm going to try it, I know it's Glentalkers, but I think, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to like this, and I'm already got my backup. Whereas if I tried it blind, would I be more likely to enjoy it?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Like with like a wine matured whiskey, I think it always divides the room because people either like wine or they don't. And as soon as they hear the word wine, they're like, I don't like wine. So straight away, they're geared up to not like it. So yeah, and there's no hiding the fact it's a wine finish or maturation because it's usually like pink inside the glass. So yeah, it does. It definitely has an impact as well. Especially if we're training staff, I'm always trying to make sure that they use kind of non-suggestive language as well, because like sometimes just like the wrong word could straight away make you think, or like, you know, comparing one against the other, saying this one's smoother or this one's a bit harsher or this one's stronger. Straight away, like that's it. You've set yourself up to like, oh yeah, no, you're right, that's too strong. I don't like that one. And it's nobody's fault. It's just you've kind of put that idea in somebody's head, so that's what they taste. So yeah, we've got a whole thesis to work on there, Louise. I hope you have to set some time aside.
Is it going to be all of this for the next 6 months? Like it's just experiments on experiments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone coming to the shop for a tasting now is going to be like, am I being experimented on? Am I a guinea pig here?
Louise just pops up behind a barrel taking notes. What do you think of that one? Do you mind putting a blindfold on you?
I did try to do it before, but then I was doing a lot of like research skills classes at the same time, and there was so much about like experimenting with people that was going back to like I can't remember what it's called now. Is it like the Geneva something, like human rights stuff?
Oh, yeah.
And you had to say up front that you would be lying to them. I was like, well, that now defeats the purpose, because if they know that like I'm not giving them the correct tasting notes, then they're not going to trust me anyway. So then I don't get they got a bit too deep. So that's why that one didn't happen. But,
oh my God, how do you even sleep? Are you just always questioning yourself? Do you even know if you're asleep? Oh my God.
well, I don't know. If I dream that I'm a butterfly, do I know that that's not true? How do you know if your dreams aren't real?
Well, yeah. My God, I'm far too ill for thinking about this.
What did you do in your dream when you were a butterfly?
Just fly about. Had very real, though. It felt very real, and this feels very real. So is it real?
Oh, me.
Are you two real, or am I making you up?
You're just talking away to a screen.
If you've made me up, you've gone over the top, to be honest. Because like I've got no control over the shit that comes into my head. You could have eased off a little bit. So when we had somebody from the Master Blender team come over to do some training with us a couple of years ago. Really, really interesting guy. Like you would love this guy actually. So super intelligent. But we didn't really know and try much whiskey because he was pretty much telling us about, that exact same concept of how do you know what's real? Do you know you're real? And if you can't understand you're real, how do you know what you're smelling? The production team were like, what the fuck's going on here? but yeah, really interesting. The more you delve into that, yeah, it's a bit of a kind of rabbit hole, isn't it? Like Alice in Wonderland.
It's.
I feel like there's a whole like philosophy with whiskey series that we could do here now.
100%.
You could.
Yeah.
Have you read Billy Abbott's book, The Philosophy of Whiskey?
I have, yes. Yeah.
It's good fun. It's not as in depth in a series as probably what we are talking about. Yeah, I think if you throw in philosophy into anything, it's just.
I think it gets really fun. Other people don't think the same.
I mean, yeah, it's like Matrix kind of
Yeah.
shit going on, isn't it? Are we? We all.
Have you heard of the trolley problem?
The trolley.
Yeah, the trolley problem.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that ethics one. I wind you up with this quite a lot. So the idea is that you're like on a trolley, well, a tram, going down a train track, and you're either going to hit 5 people or 1 person, and you can choose to switch the track. So one track's got 5, one track's got 1. What do? If we are at the grill, having had so many lovely drams, we will sometimes change out those people for distilleries. So what distilleries make you choose, like which distilleries would you choose to run into and which ones would you save? Would you choose to save 5 distilleries or 1 distillery?
Oh, Kat's tapping out. She's like, I'm not answering this one. Well, first of all, this is not the trolley problem that I thought of, but I have heard of this one. The trolley problem I was thinking you're going to talk about is the kind of moral duty of people where if you take you're at the supermarket, you take your trolley back.
Yeah.
The right thing to do is to take it back to the trolley station, but you're not obliged to do. You don't gain anything for doing it. It's just the right thing to do. But if nobody did it, then you'd have trolleys everywhere and there'd be carnage. That was a trolley problem I thought you were going to be going on to. If I could, geez. So I could save 5. I think you would probably have to name 5 against 1, and then I would have to say I can't name 5 that I would.
What if it was you would run into 5 individual distilleries or 1 like independent bottling company?
Oh. I would probably. So we're, because then. I would probably have to say the indie.
Yeah, why?
I think because that independent bottler could be 1 person, it could be 2 people, whereas distilleries look after hundreds, if not thousands, of people if you do that. And there are a lot of indies out there at the moment. So we could probably absorb 1 going under. Now, if you named that that independent bottler, I would 100% be backing them to the help, because I don't want to say that I'm going to run Woody or Paul or Kenny under a train.
It feels like a darker thought experiment using distilleries than using people. Weirdly, like the thought experiment is usually about like random people that you don't know. It's harder when you talk.
It's all strangers, isn't it? And
yeah.
Jeremy was straight on. He says independent bottling company is gone. Sorry. I think it would have to be, because we could absorb that loss quite comfortably as an industry. I mean, if you said it's like Gordon MacPhail, then you are talking about hundreds of jobs, because you've got 2 distilleries within that independent bottler.
Yeah. It'll depend on like output as well. Like if there was an independent bottler that was using spirit from like 15 or 20 distilleries rather than the 5 that are only putting out their original stuff. Would you rather have more of different stuff or more of the same stuff?
So 5 independents or 1 distillery? Is that?
Oh yeah, let's do that one.
I think we'll wait till Kat comes back, because she can answer that. When I answered the first one, I think it's not fair. She totally tapped out there. She was like, "Internet's not working." It was like, "It fucking works. You're just jumping off." Yeah. You should ask her. Those 5 distilleries are the the Beam Suntory 5. It's interesting. It's a tough question. 5 IBs or 1 distillery. Again, without knowing what they are, it's easy to say the indies, because they're faceless at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But if you told me it was Little Brown Dog or Thompson Brothers and Woodrow's, and I would be torn. I'd be like, no, I don't want to lose them, because we know them and they're friends and we like their stuff. Yeah. God. Who invited you on this ship? It's Kat, wasn't it?
No, I don't think anybody invited me. Kat said that you were looking for somebody, and I said, I'll do it. I'm here.
Oh, brilliant. I love that enthusiasm. Dave Hagerson, I'm in your boat. He's saying it's too tough for my little brain. Absolutely. But yeah, so I think there's a lot of fun to be had with it. With certain experiments, blind tastings are always good fun. I did one the other week with a group of guys, and that came off the back of. So there's a hotel. We do kind of a tasting every quarter locally, and I was there just before Christmas, end of November, I think it was, and we had 5 whiskies, and the favourite was the 25-year-old Gordon MacPhail Glenbergie. And one of the guys said it would be interesting to know if that was my favourite if I didn't know that it was a 25-year-old. Because he was torn between a couple and he went with the 25, and he said, and I said, well, we can easily do a blind tasting for you if you want. So we did. And the favourites were really torn. It was more spread out than any of the tastings we've done. And it's, there's 20 guys come along, probably 12, 15 of them are regular, and the other 5 are made up of newbies. So it was a fairly consistent group. And normally there's an outright favourite, or there's 2 kind of ahead of the pack. This time it was spread pretty evenly across the 5 drams. And I wonder if it is that little bit of philosophy or psychology coming in, and say, well, we don't know what they are. I'm going purely on what I'm tasting. I'm not going on a brand. I'm not going to bottle. I'm not going on an age statement. And the two favourites just, were the Tamdhu 18-year-old, which you'd probably expect, and our shop exclusive Hollywood, which we've got in. So that probably shows more leaning to sherry casks. What else did we have in the lineup? We took the table whiskey from Portleith. We had, as a grain offering, we had the Dumbarton Rock Dramore blend. And then we had a McMyra as a non-Scotch. You just went and got yourself another bloody cup of tea, didn't you? You didn't. Your internet wasn't broken.
Well, I thought I'd better do something while I'm waiting for the bloody internet to come back. Stupid thing. Well, they're digging up the street outside, so I wonder if they're doing like internet stuff in the street. I don't know. Carry on.
Yeah, I'm just talking about blind tasting that I had the other week with our group up in Tarvis, and how it was a lot more even between the favourites than the other tastings I've done up there. And I was thinking it's probably because it's blind. People aren't swayed by age statement or favourite distilleries and things. They're just going purely on what they can taste in the glass.
I do like doing a blind tasting, not even like hosting it, but being at one. Just because it's nice to like remind yourself what it is that you actually like. Because I feel like sometimes I can get very much caught up in like trying to try every dram that's just come out or trying everything that's happened. So getting to do a blind tasting of something that other people have chosen, I can be like, yeah, no, I do actually like this, and then find out what it is. So
you just reminded me there. We had 6 at the blind tasting, and the 6th one was a Glenfiddich 12-year-old. I threw in, a dram that I say almost all my tastings, Glenfiddich 12 gets a bit of a bad rep in Scotland, because it's always there at supermarket, it's affordable, it's in every bar, and because you could always get it whenever you want, you never do. And I always say to people, next time you're in a bar, have your Glenfiddich 12, remind yourself just how good it is, because it's a stonking dram, it's a brilliant dram, but people don't like it because of the fact it's Glenfiddich 12.
I do always like choosing, whenever we go out to bars, especially places like the Grill or when we'd be at Cask, I feel like that's always where I would choose the most normal or like the most normal semen drams. Because the ones that we don't tend to buy full bottles of things like Glenfiddich 12 or the Glendronach 12 or anything like that. So we never have them in the house. So whatever we have at home is always the sort of weird and wonderful. So whenever we're at a whiskey bar, we're having the stuff that everybody knows and loves, which is, I think, surprises a lot of people. But
I think that's a sensible way of doing it, because like if you're out having a drink, like maybe like the first, and you're not really there, but like professionally, you're not like, stood nosing it and trying it. Although I say that, you could like pick out the 4 whiskey geeks in the room in the Grill, all stood holding a Glencairn the other night, nosing and trying it before any of us drank any of it. But generally, if you're out, you're out. You're like, you fancy a dram. So I think that's really sensible way about it. Get yourself a dram you're comfortable with, one that you can just enjoy for the enjoyment's sake, and then get your interesting bottles at home when you've got a bit more time to kind of sit and figure them out.
Yeah, and as the night progresses, there's no point in spending 10, 12, 15 quid on a dram, because your palate's going, depending on your company, of course. If you're having a group of friends and you're just having a laugh and sit down, no point paying a lot of money for a dram that, and you want to last the night as well. You're not going to go and hit the high 50% wise. You want something that's maybe 40, 43.
Yeah. I know. I think sometimes when the more people drink, the more they're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to start, getting the really good stuff. But it's like, yeah, you're going to wake up in the morning with nothing in your wallet and not remember that you got the really good stuff in the bar. So like, yeah, probably better not.
So, Kat, Louise was asking a question before you disappeared. We're going to see what your answer to it is. I've answered it, and I want to know what your answer would be.
All right, could you 2 shoes? Fire away.
So the idea was the idea was based on the trolley problem, which is based on people. So if you're on like a tram that's going down one track and it's got 5 people stuck on it, you can choose to change track to only hit one person. So the question is always, do you save 5 or do you save 1? I have tried to flip it for the whiskey world. So if there was 5, I guess, concepts of distilleries on one track, so if there's 5 distilleries there that you're going to run over, or would you change track to save an indie bottling company?
I mean, I'm a big fan of indie bottlers. Depends on the whiskies, to be honest. You know, like I'd need more information. All right, give me 2 shoes. Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one.
You can change it to be anything as well. So, like, you could get rid of, like, would you rather get rid of all age statements up to the age of 50, or only have 5-year-old whiskies?
Oh, see, age annoys me anyway, just because I get so fed up with people only wanting like 18, 15, 21-year-old whiskies. So it would be interesting if there was no age on whiskies at all. Like, that would just blow people's mind. Imagine putting out like a 35-year-old whiskey or something with just no label on it. Would people actually know that it was? You could probably tell that it was quite a high age, but you wouldn't be able to guess necessarily. I mean, okay, so we can wipe out all the really old whiskies then. But
how would you charge for that though?
Yeah, I mean, you'd still have to charge quite a bit, wouldn't you? Which would be an indicator that it's Jeremy Glengarry versus Woodrow's Foghouse, Lawburn Dog, and 2 more. Just Glengarry
I'm not even like starting wars between like all these distilleries. It was meant to be a thought experiment.
Yeah, so Kat, if you could, your 5 distilleries are your Suntory 5, and your independent bottler is Little Brown Dog, what would you do?
Oh, Andrew's getting it. Wipe him out. Especially since he's just released that amazing Glengarry, which I think Dave Backerson was drinking, which is
he was. Yeah, he was enjoying that earlier on. Your bottle's still at the shop, isn't it?
I know. I'm going to have to I meant to try and get it today, but pretty much just slept for the whole day by accident. So I'll come and get it sometime. As long as nobody drinks it. I can't believe I didn't remember to pick up on Saturday. I remembered when I got there, but I got distracted. So I'll come and get it sometime soon. Don't drink it.
Louise Ali is on Facebook. Ali Milton is saying all the best for the new role. Looking forward to his next visit. Hope all is well with everyone. He is enjoying the Spirit of Speyside Ballindalach Rioja finish, which is, I've heard good things about this one. I've not tried a Ballindalach yet. I need to.
No, me neither. I'd love to go and see it as well. Have you been to visit the distillery? I've
been to the distillery. Yeah, we went we had a tour with a group of guys, and it was my birthday actually. So I hired Tony to drive the bus, and went on the tours as well. And it was back when, I'm trying to remember when it was. I was talking about it the other day because Karen McWilliam was still at Glenallachie. Remember that because she took us on tour there. So you're talking 2019, 2018 maybe. But yeah, so the Ballindalach was phenomenal too. The guys that we're on with were engineers, and the distillery is it's open plan. Yeah, so basically you walk through the whole one room and everything's in, or 2 rooms I think. But all the pipes are on show and everything, and they were just geeking out over valves and probably torque points and all these kind of things. So it was pretty cool. But at the end of the tour, they didn't have any Ballindalach spirit. You got a wee taste of the new make during the tour. But what they did have, because the Ballindalach estate was or Cragganmore Distillery is on Ballindalloch Estate as well. The Laird of Ballindalloch gets a cask every so often from Cragganmore as part of the distillery rent, I guess.
Oh, that's very rich.
So, yeah, part of the tasting was a 25, 27, 29-year-old Cragganmore single casks is what we've got as the tasting, which were phenomenal. They were all really good.
That's very cool. It's the one that's got the beautiful kind of like deer statues on the big lawn, isn't it? Ballindalloch. Yeah.
There's a wee golf course next to it as well. There's a wee 9-hole golf course.
Is it crazy golf? Because I do love a bit of crazy golf.
No, it's actual golf.
Still not up on my golf knowledge yet, but that'd be awesome. I'm going to put into the company to see if we can get a crazy golf course built to the distillery. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
On the top floor of the malt barns.
Oh God, yes. Like, why is there no windows? Well, come up to see the crazy golf. It's such a nice space, though. I do think malt barns are so atmospheric. Like, it'd be great. I always think it'd be great for a ceilidh, but because it's got all the poles holding the roof up, obviously, not so great for dancing around, I suppose. Unless you're a modest
You have to plan your dances very carefully.
You would. To strip the willow could be messy. But yeah, very, very cool places, malt barn. I think all like distillery buildings are just cool anyway. There's something quite magical about them.
Ali's saying, would you save all non-age statement whiskies and smash Macallan, or is that pretty much the same thing nowadays?
Oof. Bringing out the big guns there, Ali.
Yeah. I'm not going to comment.
I don't want to have started all the like whiskey world controversies.
You have. We're going to be talking about this. Is going to be talked about for months and years to come.
Sorry. Trash talking. Well, it nearly descended into that when we were trying to describe whiskies as bands, wasn't it? And we discovered that it could evoke quite strong opinions.
I think Coldplay got the brunt of my.
Honestly, your hate for Coldplay is unreal.
I don't hate them. I just find them very bland and dull. So, talking to Macallan, so Jeremy's asking the top five bottles in your collection versus the next 20.
Oh, on the tram. So if like your top 5 is going to wipe out the next 20 you could have bought. Are we still on the tram? I think we are still. This is still tram metaphor, I think. I mean, like your top 5 you could just get anywhere. Like surely everybody's top 5 is like their favorite ones to go to all the time, right? Whereas the next 20, you don't know what they're going to be. So like, I don't know, I'd sacrifice top 5. Go for a gamble.
See, I feel like I'd rather have 5 that I know I definitely love than 20 that I've just got.
Yeah. That's a good point as well.
Would you only be allowed to drink those 5 forevermore if you save them?
Oh.
I mean, Queen Margaret spent her whole short life drinking famous grouse, and you know she was happy, or as happy as not Queen Margaret, Princess Margaret. Did I say Queen Margaret? Princess Margaret. We ever had a Queen Margaret.
And a wee promotion there, posthumously. Whiskey. Yeah. Dave says that's awkward because I look like Chris Martin ordered on Wish. I apologize. You're probably a better singer, to be fair, and you don't have a daughter called Apple. Glendronach recent non-age statements releases have been superb. Ali, I agree. And he said he'd keep his top 5 because he can't afford the next 20.
Well, that's a very fair point, to be honest.
There is that as well. Talking of Glendronach non-age, it's probably going to be my next dram, the Ode to the Dark.
Oh my God.
50.8. You'd love it, Kat. Pedro Jimenez, full maturation.
Yeah, that's making my teeth itch just looking at that. I'm sure it's lovely. I saw them in the shop the other day. They were really pretty bottles.
Let's ask the expert. Louise, what do you think about the bottles?
Do you like this one?
I do think they're beautiful, but I do love a floral moment is very much my vibe. So I do like that. And I like the Glendronach when they're all lined up. They're all like very clearly in the same collection. All the labels are the same height. It's all planned. It's all beautiful. Glendronach designers can do no wrong in my eyes.
I know. And then
You like
we haven't tried the
rebrand?
whiskey yet, but the bottle's beautiful.
Have you tried the rebrand? Do you like the rebrand from what they used to be?
Yes.
I don't have a traditional. I've just got a handful one, which I think they've kept that kind of style.
Oh yeah.
I like the rebrand. Most rebrands, I typically kind of end up liking. But when I see it on paper, like, see, do you know when they do a press release and you see it, the print of it, I'm always like, that looks pretty shit. I don't think I like that. But then when you see it, like you say, lined up, like Glenallachie as well, I like that kind of pastel look.
Yeah.
The uniformity of it's a little bit less cartoony and it's a bit more kind of classy and professional. I like it on a shelf, and I think that looks very uniform, as you say. And I like boxes over tubes. I think my preference is always going to be a box. I just think they're neater, they fit together, and it makes it straight. Whereas tubes, they're always round.
They are, yes. That's the
hence the name tube.
Another one of those round tubes again. With a box as well, though, you can wrap them, and people don't necessarily know it's a bottle of whiskey. So, like, it's quite hard to wrap a tube. I think a lot of places are going to move away from boxes, though, aren't they, for like sustainability and things. Like, quite a few big brands. I think like Highland Park and Lefroy have changed their boxes quite dramatically to be more sustainable as well. Like, especially Highland Park, to go away from that big black shiny box with all the like Viking saga kind of pictures to like just that oatmeal-y. I like box, but there's a lot of haters out there for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tube thing is, you know, it's that guy that annoys, or probably more often this one, is because you have to pop it to recycle it. And that's why a lot of people are going to boxes, because you just need to fold it. You can fold it flat and it goes into recycling pretty easy. Or they're getting rid of it. Or is it Brook Laddie who give you the choice when you buy from them? You can tick a box that says I'll pay, or I'm not sure if there's a cost difference, but you can get in the, because they're metal tins.
Oh yeah, of course.
And you get the choice of having it with the metal tin or without, which it'll be interesting to see. I'll ask, we've got them tomorrow night in at the shop. Sarah Wood's coming in for a Brook Laddie taste. So I'll see if she knows what's the preferred option, which one people are going for. It'd be interesting to know.
What's the metal tin that breaks your fingernails trying to get into it? Was that the Murray McDavid one?
That was the Murray McDavid, but they've gone into boxes.
They're all boxes now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Thank God. A chore when you're like, I'll just show you the bottle, for fuck's sake. Why have I just suggested that?
I mean, you struggle with foil wrap, let alone.
I know. Yeah, I'm not very good at it at all. Yeah, down with boxes. I'm all right with no boxes.
I don't know. I like the idea of an option. I like the idea that people, but that doesn't help us at the shop because as a retailer, it's going to be pretty difficult. But yeah, distilleries with or without the box, I think could save the distillery money, but also a lot of waste because you'll get a lot of people just first thing they do is chuck the box out.
Yeah. For posting as well, though, do you not find that it can be so complicated, like posting certain bottles, you know, trying to get aired sacks around about them and trying to stuff them back in their packaging and then get that in a box? It can be very complicated.
Yeah. I leave that to Tony. She deals with that.
The sugar test, nothing gets past her.
Exactly. Can't sugar, there can be no rattle leaves that box, that shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ed Friday is saying Glen Scotia, Glen Murray, Tomatin, Springbank, Knockdhu. And that's all he says.
I mean, he's on theme. We are talking about whiskey.
We're talking distilleries. Is this their 5?
I think it must be the top 5. Yeah, because they're not ones that have got tins or tubes, are they? Springbank doesn't.
Springbank got rid of their tubes. Glen Scotia comes in a box. Knockdhu comes in a tin. Tomatin's a box. Glen Murray's a box.
I mean, if it's the 5 you're going to drink for the rest of your life, you've still got a good range there. Like, if it's the only 5 that you're choosing.
Yeah. Come on, Ed, keep up. That was 10 minutes ago we were talking about that.
He's in Huntley. It's the bloody internet here. Like, honestly,
just heard.
Internet engineers literally riding here on dinosaurs. It's mental. I don't know why it's so bad up here.
Yeah. Dave said a few of his are bottles only now. The worry of does it slow sales? We do get asked, quite a lot. If certainly independent bottlers, I think if it's kind of Woodrow's and these kind of guys, or does it come in a box? And you feel bad for saying no. I hope that's just water, Louise, and that's not like the biggest hip flask in the world.
It's water.
But yeah, people love that gift element of a tube or a box, don't they? Do you think, Kat, if you offer Glengarry at the distillery without the boxes, would people go for that? I don't think she's here.
She's either frozen or really holding this pose.
She's trying her best not to laugh. I am just going to screenshot that face just to wind her up later. There we go. No, she's definitely frozen.
Yeah, she's done.
Ed saying you feel the box. Yeah, boxes do protect the ball. Certainly shipping it. I don't know. What's your thoughts, Louise, on if you would get out of if you could choose? Does the box make it important?
I don't know. I think I prefer just a bottle, to be honest. Like, I'd rather just walk out of a shop with just a bottle.
Yeah.
But then if I was ordering something online,
glugging it, couldn't you?
Pardon?
You could just flip off the cap and start glugging it. No need to hang around a box.
No, I'll wait till I'm sensibly home with my glassware. Yeah, if I'm just coming out of a shop, but if I was like ordering it online, I'd want it in a box. I don't think a tube would be. It wouldn't feel safe enough.
No. Interesting. Yeah. And who's to say that the tube or the box even exists?
Who knows if the whiskey exists if you can't see it, if it's inside a box? How do you know it's definitely there?
It's like Schrodinger's whiskey.
Yeah, Schrodinger's whiskey.
Until you open the box, you don't know if the whiskey's real or not.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about that with some of my some of the bottles that we've got here. So like we'll have had like really nice drams at a bar, and then we've bought the bottle, like we were saying earlier about like the place and the time and everything. It'll all feel delightful. We've not opened these bottles again, and it feels like that sort of like Schrodinger's cat element of like, as long as it's closed, it's still that good a dram.
Yeah.
As long as that bottle remains closed, it still tastes as good as it did when I first tried it.
And it's that memory, that kind of, I remember when we tasted that, and I don't want to ruin that memory by opening it again.
Yep.
Yeah. I completely buy into that. And it is, you buy a bottle off the back of a great tasting. Because there is the theory that your memory, and I've talked about this before, how you remember a memory is quite dependent on the mood you're in when you remember something. So, or you say something happened to me when I was 10 years old, and the last time I remembered it was when I was 18, and I was really happy when I was 18 when I remembered it because I was having a party with friends or something. We talked about it. If I remember that now, I only remember the 18-year-old's memory
Yeah.
And I see it as a good memory because I was too young at 10-year-old to remember it. So the gap is too big. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
totally.
how I feel about that initial instant now can only go back as far as when I was 18. So if I was in a good mood when I was 18, remembering that memory, I'm going to remember it fondly.
Yeah.
It's so fucked up. It's unreal.
It makes everything feel unreliable.
Yeah. It's nuts. It's nuts. And I apologise to everyone at home who's trying to work out what I just said.
Well, you can come into the whiskey shop on Saturday and I'll have more of these questions for you.
Yeah. Please, guys, come out. I'm waiting for a message from Kat to see if she's going to come back in. But otherwise, I think she's not telling me anything. What's Ed saying? It feels as if his shelves collapsed or the bottle fell off the box. The box would have provided some insurance. Yeah. So you've got that. So guys at home, there's a quick question for you. When you get your delivery or you've been to wherever your local shop is and you buy it and it comes in your tube, if you display it, do you take it out of the tube to display it or do you keep it in there? Because a lot of you guys at home will have whiskey cabinets, you'll have cupboards. Do you display in the tube or do you like to, because sometimes you have a really nice backlight, don't you, in these whiskey cabinets, and seeing some of the lighting shown through the whiskey can be really eye-catching, quite pretty colours and make it look cool. Or do you display it in the tube? Dave, depends on the bottle. Dave, I expected you to be off the fence on this one.
I like your backlighting or your downlighting or your uplighting or whatever it is at the shop when they're all like you've got your row of like Glendronach, but it doesn't make a difference. You can't see anything through that. It's like Guinness, and you've got your row of like little brown dogs and like your row of daft mills and stuff. I think that looks really, really cool up in the bar.
PX Woodhouse has, he's quite subtle about his opinion here. Packaging is all pish. Not worth it. Keep the bottles away from the sun and your sound.
It's all pish. Fair enough.
I love it. I get it, but I also get the idea that packaging has its place.
I like the fact I've been away for like 24 hours and we're still on packaging. That's awesome.
Oh, we've had a whole host of conversation since you disappeared. How did you have to go and heat up your tea? Did it get cold?
No, I just sat glowering at my screen until a little twirly circle of doom. And it's such a passive aggressive message. It says, "Oops, you're offline." I'm like, "All right, genius. Like, what are we going to do about it?" So annoying.
You've not been this bad for a while on your internet, to be fair.
I know. I got new internet. It's like I'm gonna have to phone it back up again. Mm-hmm. So annoying.
I would tell them how many people at home have been disappointed by a continual dropout.
I know, letting down the public, letting down the fans, letting down Louise, just letting everyone down.
Just send them a link to this.
I should, like, yeah, look how shit this was. I should do it. Maybe it's because it's school holidays and all the kids in the town are all Minecrafting and you talking and whatever. So down with the kids.
Minecrafting and you talking.
Oh, and this is the other thing, Dave. That's it. Your glitch face. Like, this is it. Because you never freeze on like a perfectly serene, like, you know, normal looking face. You freeze like, you know, you've been electrocuted just before you went offline.
I will send you. I took a screenshot of your frozen face for your enjoyment.
Thank you very much for that.
I thought you might enjoy it.
Yeah.
We did wait like a suspiciously long time for an answer to the question. Like we weren't totally sure you were there.
If I was just thinking about it, like giving it really got into the philosophy, we're like,
I can't remember what question I
That
asked.
face, so.
It was like the chat with Gareth and Barry from Organic Architects. It's like in the green room before we went on, like poor Gareth was like 10 minutes behind us. And we're like, oh my God, this is just we're like, we'll just go with it anyway. I think his internet did catch up eventually, but it was, it was difficult for a minute. He was in Wales. Like, there's no internet down there, surely.
The question I was asking, I just remember it now, was how do you think if you give people the choice at Glengarry between packaging a box or not box, how do you think that would swing?
So it is something we've played around with, and it's mainly because of posting, because they're quite chunky ass balls. So it's just easier if they don't want a box. But I think some of our boxes have a continuation of a story that goes across them. So if you've got all 4 of the Renaissance collection, it shows you like a sort of hand-drawn picture or a landscape of like what it really looked like back when it first opened, which is kind of cool. But you do have to sit them back to front on your shelf if you want to see the picture. But I think everybody knows that if you collect Glengarry, you collect brown. All of our boxes are brown. So there's just a lot of brown. So I wouldn't be super sad if the box has changed at least anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it'll be something that's discussed at some point in time, because obviously they've done it at Lafroig. Have Bemore changed their box? I don't think they have they? Who knows?
Not recently.
It might have.
Not for a wee while, no.
I think yeah, they're quite cool because they're like the sort of cool little sister of the company, really, like the sort of cool cousin that turns up with her nose pierced and like breaks rules. Whereas like we're like the sensible cousin that said, "Have you got a coat?"
Remember your wellies.
Yeah, that's it exactly. It is. Yeah, it's a. I don't think we're defined, like, you know how some brands are defined by how iconic their box is or their bottle is. I don't think we're like have that notoriety, so I think there's probably room to play around with packaging if they decide to. Be interesting to see what they decide to do. They're quite small. Yeah. It's like gold writing, so I find it really hard to read sometimes. But if they could just maybe make that a bit bigger, that'd be awesome. Or I just give in and buy myself new glasses. One of the two.
Yeah, interesting. And like I said, there's a lot of it happening just now, isn't it? There's a lot of sustainability talk is probably at the forefront of a lot of distilleries, and it's in theory it's an easy decision to make, packaging or no packaging. But when you talk about things like that, then it's not that easy. It's not just a quick fire decision. You have to look at the impact it'll have. Yeah, I can see that there'll be a lot of changes with a lot of brands in the next few years.
Well, it's such a busy marketplace as well. You know, like there's so many bottles there. You're going to want to try and stand out. Do you do that with the funky box? Do you go for a non-aggressive looking bottle, or do you just go, like, yeah? There's a lot to consider when you are releasing a whiskey, I suppose, isn't it? And like brand image and brand story, a continuity of the brand story. It's a lot of fun though. I do find that side of things really, really interesting. Like the concepts they come up with. Like Glenglassaugh, prettiest rebrand of a bottle ever. Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I like the rebrand.
Yeah.
And it helps with, I mean, it does help that the whiskey's pretty banging as well. I mean, you could rebrand a whiskey all you want. If it's shit in the bottle, then people aren't really going to pay much attention.
No, that's true.
Mm-hmm. I just had a question that popped in my head for Louise there. What is, apart from tonight, obviously, what is your favourite whiskey memory?
Ooh. That is a good question. Favorite whiskey memory? Oh, that is really hard, actually. I feel like I've got one from like each place. Like I don't have like one overall. It's like
Okay.
Don't know. I always remember my first like tours, like the first versions of everything that I did. So like my first Gladeside tour and my first Sweet tour. They were always fun. Do you know? I think one of my like ultimate favorite memories. So when I was training to do the platinum tours at the Whisky Experience, or when I was sort of like learning all the whiskey stuff anyway, I was very much like listening to other people. Like I was listening to like their tasting notes and their like rankings of things and all this. And then I was trained to do one of the platinum tours, and there was this one whiskey that that nobody else around me seemed to enjoy. Like they just wasn't for them. So then the night before my first big tour, I did it like a sort of practice round to take like my own tasting notes and like to make my own like opinions of it. And I tried the one that everybody said that they really didn't enjoy, and I was like, no, that's actually delicious. And I found like my own little niche of whiskey that I quite liked. So that was really fun. Yeah, loads of stuff. There's always been very cool events happening everywhere. Like, yeah.
Or first day at the whiskey shop. Must be first day at the whiskey shop. Surely.
Oh yeah, that's up there as well. So we got first tours everywhere. First day at the whiskey shop. Getting to work my first like whiskey festival was very fun. Because I hadn't really been on the like working side of them before.
Yeah.
So that was really fun watching them happen.
I think because we're really lucky, there's so many good varied moments. It is hard to track down like just one. You know, a lot of it's just part of your week. You're like, oh yeah, I went off to Whiskey Festival, it was awesome, and then came back and tried something really, like, yeah. It sounds like we're just showing off, but like there's quite a lot of them, so it's like a sort of bigger picture, isn't it? Once you've got your memoirs written, you'll be able to.
I feel like at this point I'm gonna have like a whiskey memoir and a philosophy memoir, and like it's gonna have to be in like different editions at this point rather than just chapters.
You have to rebrand and just call yourself the whiskey philosopher on the old social medias.
That's a shout. I did try when I moved up to Dornoch, because I was staying in staff accommodation. I was staying in the actual castle, so I did think about the Whiskey Princess for a while. So I was like, that's very on brand for me. That's
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Mike changed my branding. Yeah, Mike changed my branding, but the word I heard and the word he'd said were two very different words. So,
not as bad as your face made out there. It wasn't another C word.
Okay.
No, I mean, that would. I don't know what would make him call me that. I'd been with his group all week because I was working at the whiskey shop, and then I'm obviously at the distillery. So you're doing the Whiskey Academy, and I think I met all his guys at the shop, and then I was their guide over at Glengarry, and I think I'd gone with Russell one day to knock do with them to fill in because Mike was busy, and then I was the guide over at Ardmore, and one of the guys were like, "Are you the only tour guide in Scotland?" So Mike had said, "Oh yeah, she's a whiskey tart," and I thought he said a whiskey cat, no, distillery tart, and I thought he said distillery tart cat. Oh my god, oh, tired now. Just ruined my story. I just need to smash a glass across the grill and we're done.
Don't know if you'd be welcome back if you did it again. 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah, I mean,
I do like how the fact you just said I went with Russell because Mike was busy. You know, Killian was getting bored. By the way, that was. I
knew there was something. Well, you weren't busy at all. Tony was the busy one. I knew there was something important. I thought it was puppies or something, but it was just a baby.
Yeah. I did just drop the academy for because something better came along. It was quite.
Because you had the glass recycling to do or something.
Yeah. get my hair done. Jeremy's got a good idea for you, Louise. A thought experiment label for a whiskey series. The trolley problem, the ship of Theseus. I suppose we could throw in Schrodinger's cat in there as well.
That would be fun.
Philosophical questions in a whiskey series.
That would be quite good fun because, like, quite often people after a few drams get quite philosophical by the end of the night. So you could just pose a question on the back of the bottle, and people can sit and muse over it as they while away.
I'm not sure if that's responsible promoting there. Give us your answer when you finish the bottle.
Once you're pished, let us know.
Yeah, no. Hashtag responsible drinking.
100%. What is the ship of Theseus? What is that?
So the ship of Theseus is the idea that there was a ship going from one place to another. Over the course of its journey, every single part of the ship needed to be replaced. So is it still the same ship when it gets to the other side?
Like Trigger's broom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. Is it the same one?
How do you replace the bottom of a ship while it's in water? Why not just sink?
This is a question that I keep asking in my philosophy classes, but nobody will give me the answer to.
So
I don't know. I'm sure there's probably a way, but I don't know what it is.
there is. There's no ship of Theseus. You have broom of Trigger, and that is that's it.
Do you know what I've often wondered? I don't think it's anything to do with philosophy. See if like a fly or a bumblebee flies into your car while you're driving up the road at like 60 miles an hour. Is that fly actually just going at 60 miles an hour, or is it just hovering around at normal speed? Like,
I've also wondered this.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
it's stopping at 60 miles an hour. That's the problem. That's why it's.
Well, yeah, but like, if it's flying,
they tend to fly into you, don't they? So they're flying at their normal speed into you, but the force would be the 60 mile an hour hitting the fly.
but it's in your car, just flying around inside your car while you're going.
What, in your car? Oh, not the ones that you're battering on the outside of the windscreen.
No, they're just dead. But if it flies into your car, it's like flying in your car, and you're doing 60 miles an hour. Is the fly doing 60 miles an hour? I'm not even drinking tonight, guys. This is what happens when you spend the whole day sleeping and wake up an hour before the Blether. I'm just like, ooh, people. We need a
Well, I mean, how fast do we go on a train? Or because we get up and walk around in a train. Are we walking at walking space speed, or are we walking at train speed?
And if you're walking the other way to the train that the train's going,
you're reversing it 80 miles an hour. Yeah, that's true.
Ed is saying, wasn't it the Greeks who had to debate on an idea sober and then intoxicated? That was the Chinese, I think. The Chinese did that.
Oh.
If they had an idea, they would debate it. The panel or whoever, the Senate, would debate it sober, and then they would get drunk and debate it again. And if it was still a good idea in both states, then the law would be passed.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe that's how we all need to operate then.
Yeah, that seems like
I sometimes do. How I ended up with a whiskey.
And well, it's how we end up with so many rogue promises on the Blether every week as well. Our list of rogue ideas and concepts.
Jeremy is saying the Earth is traveling around the sun at 67 miles an hour. I think. Oh no, he's correct. It's 67,000 miles an hour. I think that's a pretty slow. Life is a lie. The sun is really, really tiny, and we just go around it really slowly. So, Yeah. So when we walk at what speed do we walk at? Do we walk at 67,000 miles an hour plus?
I mean, I walk quite fast, but I don't think I'm going that fast. So yeah, that's quite a good comparison too. See, I knew Jeremy would have an answer for it.
That's not an answer. That's just expanding the question.
Everything tonight has been expanding the question. It's like big thinking.
It's like I was watching Neil Brian Cox, the
the scientist dude.
science guy, and he was saying, when you jump in the air, you're time traveling because when you land, the Earth has moved, so you're actually jumping. Or you're not time traveling. You're
jumping through time. No,
yeah.
That's
Because
quite
you're
cool.
landing and you're in a different place in time because the Earth has moved.
Yeah, I never thought about that. Like, it hasn't moved far though, has it? But yeah, that's kind of cool. Is he Sarah Cox's brother? Off the radio, or do they just have the same last name? And I've just made a connection that's not there.
They're different.
It's interesting.
I bet, without delving into it, because they're very different people.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a quick Google.
They might. Ross Jolly, hello Ross, how are you? I hope you're doing well. His missus has just said this sounds like a conversation you and the boys have when you were well on in a whiskey tasting. Well, I'm glad she's sticking around to watch. But yeah, it can get quite deep, can't it?
It can. And no, they're not related.
They're not related.
No, that would have been awesome Christmas dinners, though, wouldn't it? Like if they were both there. Love that. Oh, so if you could choose your favorite philosophers, present and dead, to have like a sort of whiskey party with,
Present and dead, that would be a bit smelly, wouldn't it?
resurrected, reawakened. Who would you have and what drams would you choose?
Oh, that's another really good question. It's a very basic answer, but I feel like I'd have to speak to Plato. I need to know what was going on there. What was all that about? There's actually, this is fun. I would give them this one. We would have a lot of Epicurean. Ewan got me this. So it's one of the Douglas Lang's Lowland blended malts. Ewan got me it for my graduation. Solely because it's called the Epicurean. Because the Epicurean riddle is a big thing in philosophy, which I was obsessed with in my undergraduate, which was very fun. So the fact that they had the same name was very cute. So that was the idea, like, is something good because people have decided it's good, or is it good in and of itself? And I think this is good in and of itself. So
there you go. That's great. I didn't actually know what the name meant. So that's pretty cool. Douglas Lang.
I don't know if this name has anything to do with the actual, like, the philosophical puzzle. I think it's maybe to do with something else, but it was just so happened that they had the same name, which I thought was quite cute.
That is very cute.
Is it not to do with the Epicurean gentleman? It was like a class. The guy on the label was an Epicurean. It was like a high class gentleman.
Yeah, but I think there was like Epicure, the philosopher, who did the riddle. So it just so happened that they both had the same name. But that would be my philosophy party drama.
That's awesome. Good choice.
Thanks. Sure, he would enjoy that. I don't know enough philosophers to answer your question, so.
No, I don't think I know any. After I asked the question, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'd have Louise." What would I make you drink? Something in an obscenely ugly bottle.
Fair enough.
Smash all the glasses at the end of the night. So, like,
Jeremy's still going about time travel. Time changes with speed, it slows down. The faster you go relative to something else. He's followed it up. So if someone traveled to another star in a really fast spaceship, they'd age less than the people on Earth when they got back. Have you seen the movie Interstellar?
Yes.
no. I haven't seen
Louise, have
adult.
you seen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that kind of follows a little bit of that theory in that if we were to Louise and I jumped in a spaceship and flew to Mars and came back, we would have aged less than you would have if you stayed on Earth.
I love how I'm not invited. Jeez, thanks for
Yeah, it's just a 2-seater spaceship. Sorry.
It's because I hate aliens, isn't it? You'd be thinking I'd be starting like.
We were worried for you that we might meet one, and we didn't want you to be the first person that they saw.
I mean, I'm fine with them. I'm fine with them in space. It's when they start coming down here I've got problems. So, like, it's all peace and love there.
Coming in here and stealing our people. Yeah.
This is it completely. Okay, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I don't think like Mars is like the hot one, right?
The red one.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't think it's colder than Earth because it's further away from the sun.
Which the sun is teeny toty and goes at 67 miles an hour, so like totally oversold when we're at school. We should get Brian Cox on. Drop into his DMs and see if he'll come on.
I think he'd be rather underwhelmed with our science chat.
Yeah, but like he might not know much about whiskey, so it might be a fair trade. Swapping
Yeah.
facts.
I mean, why not? Let's give him a shout.
Cool. I'll pop him on my list as well.
Yeah. Talking to future guests, Kat, who's on next week? Do we have a booking?
It is still to be confirmed. So,
Pending Brian Cox's reply.
well, yes, of course, definitely. If we can't get him, then plan B. But yeah, we had a couple. There's a slight blip in April with some people that had to move things around, and me not getting replacements in time. But we went to Louise on anyway because she is awesome. And if you want to come back next week, that's fine too.
I can do that. I'll have more chat. We'll have done another shift by then, so we'll have more stories.
It's very true. Yeah, to BC.
Dave, Whisky Dave is often. He can come on. We can talk about his new Torbay. And he's also an astrophotographer.
He is.
Which I'm guessing means takes photos of the stars at night.
Yes, go and put up your Instagram, Dave. I can't remember if you still got an Instagram, but he's a really, really good photographer. Like really, really good. Got some great pictures of the stars above Glengarry. Very, very clever. He does other work as well, which is also very good. I just happen to know that one.
Just this one picture is like the best picture ever because it's above Glengarry.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Tim. He's saying the fun Blether tonight. It's been interesting. We've covered a lot of topics. We've got the old grey matter working more than it usually does on a Thursday night, which has been fun. I've never had a guest ask so many challenging questions.
No, I know.
You're welcome.
It's been great. So Dave Fowley, photographer, for those guys who want to see some stunning photos of the stars above Glengarry. Other distilleries, I'm sure, are available. So David Fowley, photographer, guys, give him a follow. Jeff, good evening. How are you? Jeff's just jumping on. Looking forward to catching up on the replay. Hopefully, I'll catch up with you on the next chat, which is the Aqua Vitae. We'll be starting pretty soon, in a couple of minutes.
Cool.
So yeah, Louise, thank you so much for coming
Thanks
in tonight and having a wee chat. I know No, it's been excellent. It's been good. I love the fact that the guys at home now have a little idea, and hopefully it hasn't scared anyone off coming. We won't experiment on you guys without your permission. Please come into the shop and host and do some tastings with us. Ed's saying he doesn't think there is an Aquavite tonight.
Oh, okay. Getting the night off.
Okay.
Maybe do they ever have guests? They had the Doric boys on the other day, but they don't do guests very often, do they?
Not often. No, they sometimes do. They sometimes do panels. I think Jeff has been on the panel and subbed for Roy every now and then and done his own show. But if there's not one on tonight, we'll just crack on till midnight, will we?
I don't think I'm going to make it.
Oh, Jeff is on. So Tim is saying that Jeff is doing a show. So yeah, he quite often steps in for Roy when Roy can't make it. So if you haven't seen any of Jeff's shows, get on the YouTube and give him a follow. It's he's good fun. He's got a pretty vibrant look at the whiskey industry. It's a nice view on it. So yeah. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Louise, thanks again. I will see you on Saturday in the shop. If you're in the area, please, guys, come in and say hello. We might have Sarah from Brookladian doing a barrel top tasting, which would be fun. She's doing a tasting on the Friday night and staying over. So yeah, she's going to come down and pour some drams. Dave's away to watch Black Mirror, and hopefully not as scary as Cat Glitch Face.
You're also mean.
Oh, yeah, love it. Your resting glitch face. Now what we call them that.
That's a pretty good one, actually. Resting glitch face. Get it printed on one of the Blether t-shirts. Build my fan base.
Right. Guys, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. We will see you next week, if not before.
Bye.
Cheers.